This is lesson 7-5, solving inequalities by multiplication and division. There's going to be some changes in this, but we'll start off with some rather really easy equations. The first one, we have 7 times m is greater than 63. That's just multiplication, so we're going to divide both sides by 7. Because you're such advanced math students, what's going to happen to the 7s on the left? They cancel each other out, and we find that m is greater than 9. The other example we have on this slide is h divided by 3 is less than or equal to 18. This is a division equation, so we solve by multiplying both sides by 3. On the left, the 3's cancel each other out. Ooh, and there's the mistake that most people commonly make, switching the symbol. So h is going to be less than or equal to 54. So that's how you solve an inequality with multiplication or division. Those are the easy problems. There are problems where you're going to have to pay attention to some things, and that shows up on the second slide here. Whenever you're multiplying by whenever you're solving equations, multiplying or dividing inequalities, there's a rule. If you need to multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to switch the inequality sign. It's very important that you see this. And these two examples here are going to show you exactly why that works. So on here on the left, we have 7 is greater than 1. If I multiply both sides by negative 2, bad things are going to happen to the symbol. So 7 times negative 2, keep the greater than, 1 times negative 2. So this is going to be negative 14 is greater than negative 2. Is negative 14 greater than negative 2? No, it's not. So this is actually incorrect. We need to switch the symbol to make it correct. So you can see from this example on the left that if you multiply both sides by a negative number, in this case it was negative 2, you have to switch the symbol from greater than to less than. On the right hand side we have this negative 4 is less than 16. This time we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. So negative 4 divided by negative 2, keep the symbol. 16 divided by negative 2. Negative 4 divided by negative 2, it becomes positive 2 from our work in chapter 2 with integers. And 16 divided by negative 2 is negative 8. And so keeping the original symbol, which was less than, we now have 2 is less than negative 8. That's not correct. So we need to switch the symbol. 2 is greater than negative 8. So on this slide, you can see mathematically why it's important that if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, you have to switch the symbol. So very, very important here. So now we'll try a couple of examples that way. Over on the left, we have negative 8n is less than or equal to negative 24. It's a multiplication equation, so we'll divide both sides by negative 8. Because you're such advanced math students, what happens to the negative 8s on the left? Yes, of course, they cancel each other out. Now, we have less than or equal to is our symbol in the middle. It's going to switch to be reversed to become greater than or equal to. And negative 24 divided by negative 8 is 3. So we now have an answer that n is greater than or equal to negative 3. We can actually check to make sure that what we did was correct by picking a number that is greater than 3. So let's pick 4 because it's 1 higher than 3. Negative 8 times 4. And from the original equation, less than or equal to negative 24. Negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. Hopefully is less than or equal to negative 24. And lo and behold, it is. Negative 32 is less than or equal to negative 24. So you can see in this example, by solving it, reversing the symbol, and checking it, that reversing the symbol is the correct procedure in this case. So we also have negative 4 times w is greater than 8. Divide both sides by negative 4. The negative 4's cancel each other out. W is less than 2. Remember, we switched the symbol because we divided by a negative number. On this board, we have two examples. We have r divided by negative 2 is less than negative 2 on the left. And on the right, we have x divided by negative 0.3 is less than negative 19. Both of them are division equations, so we will actually multiply to solve. We multiply on the left-hand equation, both sides by -2. And on the left, they cancel each other out. And we have to switch the symbol because we are multiplying by a negative number. And -2 times -2 is +4. So that's what that will end up looking like. On the equation on the right-hand side, it has a decimal in it. That's because you're going to be dealing with decimals and negatives all year. For the rest of the year, multiply by -0.3. And on the left-hand side, the 0.3's cancel each other out. Because we are multiplying by a negative number, we switch the symbol. And -19 times -0.3 is +5.7. And of course, with the decimals, you are allowed to use a calculator. So we switch the symbol. It's very, very important that you notice that and pay attention to it. All right, and finally on this board here we have your homework, which is page 353, problems 14 to 40, the evens.